Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now. Well, we've been talking about how mid-caps, small caps are all at record high levels. And finally, in the last 1 year, they've managed to really get good returns for their investors. An average small cap fund has returned almost 100% in the last 1 year. So we decided then to talk with a small cap expert on what exactly is triggering the rally. Is there room for more, and what can small cap and mid cap fund holders expect? Anupam Tiwari, equity fund manager with Axis AMC, joins us now on the show. Anupam, hi, good evening, and thank you so much for taking out time. So yes, after a few years of lull, small caps are back in action, and how? So before we talk a bit more about your fund, about small cap funds, what according to you is leading this outperformance?
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for inviting me here. So there are a couple of things that you need to keep in mind while considering this rally. One is that we are looking at a massive base effect, right? Because during lockdown, in the first wave, market went down significantly, and so was the mid cap and small cap. And in fact, the carnage on small cap was much worse than what happened in the large cap space. So this is also kind of a reflection from that. So if you look at normalize, it's not such a massive rally that you are seeing actually. If you just forget that there was a fall during COVID time. Now, second thing is that we are also looking at some bit of underperformance of small caps in, let's say, calendar year 18 and 19 after the massive rally that happened in 17. So that's also kind of a cyclical thing that now things are catching up. And third and most important thing is that we have looked at earnings in last 2 quarters. And in certain cases, especially, let's say, chemicals, IT, cement, etc., and a couple of other sectors, earnings have been pretty good, even in the small cap space. And the traction is looking quite good. So I think these are, kind of combined reasons for this kind of rally that you are looking at. Of course, market is not a single factor model. It's a multi-factor model. In last 1 year, we have seen increased interest from everybody, from retail, HNI, institutional, etc., in the market. So that's also kind of reflecting this interest and rally.
Okay. Anupam, like you as well mentioned, right, that if we negate that fall that we saw in March 2020, the returns, through the cycle have been okay. They've tested basically the patience of investors. So what should be the strategy when investing in small cap mutual funds? What should be the level of risk as well that investors should be prepared to take on before they invest in small cap MFs?
Okay, it's the question that can be best answered by the investor themselves because, this system or the risk for every investor is different, or his time horizon is different. But one thing is that, which is characteristic of small caps, is that it's very volatile. So if you look at a block of 8 to 10 years, you will have 3-4 years which will give you massive outperformance, unbelievable kind of returns. But you will also have 2-3-4 years of very, very, let's say, significantly negative returns, and then some bit of average returns. So the key thing for an investor is that he need to have a very long-term time horizon. In small caps, we recommend anywhere between 6 to 8 years, at least for our investors who are looking at our fund. And secondly is that he should be ready for volatility. And these exceptional performance are called exceptional performance, that they cannot be repeated again and again. So if you are doing pretty well in 1 year, of course, second year might be lower than that. But if you look at long-term perspective, the only answer for volatility is time. There is no other answer. Timing the market or thinking that, okay, I can enter and exit is in any category of the market pretty easily and with a lot of comfort and certainty is a kind of very big utopia that we might be living in. So the core focus that investors should have, be disciplined, stick to your plan. In small caps, have a longer term time horizon and be ready to accept volatility. If you cannot accept that part of volatility, maybe it is not a good part of investment for you.
All right, understood. Anupam, the tendency of a lot of retail investors seems to be that Okay, the market is up, so let's book profits. That's what we saw between October and March as well, even in mutual funds. So with the market once again rallying, this begets the same question. But is that the right mentality when you're investing in small cap MFs?
Once again, I would say it should be analyzed at investor level. So I may not be in a very good position to answer that, but generally it's okay. If let's say your one part of your portfolio has given you exceptional performance and it has become, let's say, higher than what your normal allocation you want to be. Let's say you want to keep small caps 10% or 15% in your portfolio, and it has given so much return that it has become 20%. It's always good to realign the portfolio, and that's why I said stick to the plan. Just don't try to be under the impact of fear and greed. Stick to your plan, stick to your asset allocation profile, stick to your product profile that you want to be in terms of large cap, mid cap, small cap, and then take a call. I think the biggest mistake most of the retail investors make is that they look at just past 1 year return or look at market and then take a call. In fact, they need to analyze their allocation, their risk and return income combination to decide on whether they need to get into a particular product or get out of a particular product.
What approach are you adopting then, Anupam, for your small cap fund? Markets are at record highs. So if you could walk us through what your investment strategy would be now.
Okay, so if I can simplify strategy for you, is basically we want to buy good companies run by good and competent people. And when we say good companies, we mean these are good businesses which are scalable, which are capable of generating good ROC, ROE. And when we say good management or good people, we say competent management with proven track record of execution and excellent and good corporate governance. So that's how we pick stocks. Generally, we are sector agnostic. We look purely bottom up. So we don't decide on sector allocation, etc. Sector allocation is basically a function of whether we like that stock or not. So this is simply what we do. And essentially, whole idea is to manage risk, because in a small cap, risks are much higher. Companies are smaller, management is not that experienced in certain cases. They are growing, they are in evolving businesses. So you need to look at carefully whether you are managing all that risk or not. Unlike large caps where you can only focus on valuation, etc., numbers, small caps, you need to go beyond numbers, and that's very important and that need to be looked at. And we try to manage that. And hence, if you look at historically, the volatility or the standard deviation of our performance, our fund has been quite low.
All right. So finally, Anupam, how would you, what would be the suitability of these small cap MFs for different investors? Is it that the investor should have perhaps a higher risk appetite, a longer time horizon before they invest in small cap funds?
Okay, so basically small caps are a high risk product relative to, let's say, large cap or mid cap, and equity itself is a high risk product. So two things that need to be considered by the investor is one, time horizon, and second is higher volatility. So even in small caps, fall by 20-25% is a very normal thing. Even good stocks fall by that quantum. Whereas in a, let's say, large cap, a 20% fall could be really material for drawdown. Whereas in small caps, it is a very normal drawdown. So they should be ready for that kind of volatility in short term. That is one thing. And at least for our fund, we would advise people to have a 6 to 8 year time horizon. So outlook per se is not bad, but it will require a lot of time and patience for investor to make money in small caps. I think that is two most important thing that investor has to keep in mind.
All right. Okay. Well, on that note, Anupam, we leave it. Thanks so much for joining us today on the show.